Welcome back to the channel, people, or welcome for the first time. We are doing an amateur in the bag type of thing, so hopefully it's a little guide for amateurs like myself on what you should be carrying as far as frisbees go in your bag, what will be advantageous to you, what might hurt you, and obviously this is all my opinion. You can bag whatever you want. So let's get into what I'm bagging and why I think it would be great for other amateurs like me to bag. So when I say like me, my max distance out on the course is around 350 feet. I can get up to like 375 if I'm just sitting there trying to throw a distance line, but I'm not going to throw over 350 feet really on the course unless there's tailwind or it's downhill or anything like that. So if you're a beginner, if you can't quite get over that 350 foot mark, this is a good video for you to watch. And if you are over that, you might still learn something new, so stay tuned. We are starting with the putters. I think the most important discs probably for an amateur disc golfer is a putter. And that is because putters are what you can learn off of best. They are the least torque resistant, so if you have off-axis torque, it will show. That's actually how I learned what off-axis torque was this glitch right here. I was wondering why people could throw it so far without it flipping over. I thought I was just too strong. I was throwing too fast for this glitch to handle. It couldn't handle my raw power. And then I saw Drew Gibson throw it like 400 feet or whatever, and I was like, oh, well, I definitely don't have as much power as that guy, so I'm just have kind of bad form, off-axis torque. So these are my one speeds we're starting off with. I do have a glitch and a spore right now. They're both really fun discs. The glitch I've had in the bag for a while. It's really fun for upshots, and again, if you're throwing full power with it, you can really see if your form is true, if you're following through on the line that you're trying to throw it on, which I think is really important, especially for growing players. And we have two speeds. We have my putting putters, which is a Pixel, which I also throw. It's medium electron plastic, very fun disc, goes super straight, and I love putting with it. I do like a point and shoot putter, so that is what this is. And then my old putting putters are a Roach. So basically the same disc, except these soft Roaches beat in way quicker than this Pixel. So I'm just kind of waiting to get another Pixel to replace with this Roach. But the putting is kind of up to you. Some people like a slightly more stable putter so you can throw it up and it'll kind of finish on hyzer. I found that for me and my putting style makes more rollaways. So I kind of like the point and shoot where I just hit it flat at the basket. And if I have a good release straight towards the basket, it goes in the basket. Pretty simple. Then we have our 3 speed. So these are my main throwing putters besides the Pixel. This Envy is pretty straight to stable throwing putter. A great disc for amateurs and anyone really. I mean, it's just super fun. It goes super far and it's not super overstable. And then a new one to the bag is kind of it's honestly kind of similar to that Envy, maybe a little straighter. But this is the Tour Series Paul Macbeth Kratos, which is basically a Luna with a bead if you haven't heard about it. Again, this is just a super straight, reliable putter. It's not going to turn over super easy, but you can put it on anhyzer lines and it'll ride them. So another great disc. Throwing putters, again, are super important to an amateur's bag, especially for a guy like me. And then we get into the kind of putter, kind of mid-range. It's an approach disc, I guess you could say. The Discraft Zone. If you're just learning forehand, you might want to start with maybe like a Kratos or something to learn the flick, because I've relied on this too much and it's so overstable that even if you have a bad flick, it'll just fight out of it and you won't even be able to tell. But super reliable disc for, again, all skill levels. I always have this in the front pocket of my bag. I can't remember the last time I used it, but it's a Zone OS. It is a utility disc, kind of a stupid disc, honestly, especially if you're an amateur. You don't need this at all. I don't need this at all. But I mean, if I don't know, if you're scrambling and you really need something to move right and you really need to chop over on it, this is super overstable. I think I kind of just have it in that slot because it says beef right here. So yeah, it's just a cool disc that my buddy got me, and I like to have it in the bag. I don't really throw it that often. And then the last putter that you need is one that looks like this. This is a Discmania Logic, but you need a disc like this if you have a dog. And if you take your dog with you and you want them to have a little fun, give them a designated chewing disc that they can go fetch so that the whole family can have a great time. I mean, come on, who doesn't want to bring their dog disc golfing? I just woke her up from a nap, so she's a little upset at me. But if you have one of these little girls or guys, pull out one of these during a round, give it a little toss, see if they don't have a great time. Okay, now we are getting into the mid-ranges, that 5 to 6 speed range. I have 4 mid-ranges in my bag. I should probably have, I would like to have one more and maybe remove some drivers, but mid-ranges, again, especially for amateurs, are very important disc to have in your bag. They're not super torque resistant, but more torque resistant than putters. So they will help you learn a good shot if you're still learning your form. They will help you learn what you're doing wrong more than a driver will, because the driver's just gonna fade left. So one of my favorite mid-ranges that's been through the ringer is this Mako 3. It's got a Michigan stamp. This is my understable mid. It's not super understable, but I can definitely hit hyzer flips, and if I hit it on anhyzer, it will carry right. Super great disc. And then probably one of the best discs of all time. I know a lot of people say it, but a lot of people say it for a reason. The Discraft Buzz. I have probably like 6 buzzes that have been in and out of the bag. Right now I have a Ben Askren Funky Buzz, just ESP plastic. The Buzz is a dead straight, maybe a little bit of fade at the end depending on how long you've been using it, mid-range. And then slightly more stable, but not super overstable, we have a Verdict from Dynamic Discs. It's supposed to be a really overstable mid-range. I did not find it to be that overstable. I actually find it to be pretty throwable, a really good disc to practice your forehands on, because it does have a little bit of torque resistance, but you still have to have a good forehand. You have to have touch to throw this. You can't just arm it out there and have it fly, because it'll turn over. So a really great disc to learn forehands on, to learn any shot on, and also really great headwind mid-range. Lastly, in the mid-range column, we have an Axiom Pyro. Kind of a cheater disc in the mid-range category because it's so overstable. Not a great learning disc for a beginner, but if you need a stable disc in wind, or just something that doesn't move a lot when you put it on hyzer, or just a far-flying mid-range forehand, the Pyro is a really great disc. If you're still watching, I really appreciate it. I have fun making these videos. I usually do some actual throwing videos, but it was terrible weather this week, so I wasn't able to get out. But if you enjoyed it, subscribe, like. I have a lot of fun making these videos, so if people enjoy watching them, it's a good time for everybody, and I really appreciate it. Also, shout out to SaucyDiscGolf.com. SaucyDG.com is their website. If you use code ACFrisbee, ACFrisbee, my channel name, you can get 10% off on their store to buy any of these wonderful discs that I've mentioned. So check that out. All right, next category is fairway drivers, which, if you're not throwing more than 350 feet, should probably kind of be where you stop. I bag some that are higher speed than that. For learning, fairway drivers are kind of going to be your bread and butter as far as distance and learning to control nose angle. You'll see a big difference with those sharper discs than with the putters and mid-ranges, which don't rely on nose angle as much. We're starting with the RPM disc Pekka Pekka. Understable fairway driver, and then kind of in that same vein, a little slower, maybe a little more stable, is the Discmania Essence. So basically the same disc, for me at least, very flippy to straight driver. Also for wood shots, I love these two discs for wood shots. I can just throw it on hyzer with not a lot of effort, and it'll just flip up and ride straight the entire way down the fairway. Probably one of my favorite shots in disc golf, so I love these flippy fairway drivers. What I have for my straighter fairway is an old Discmania S-Line FD. I could put it on hyzer and it'll flip up a little but won't flip over. So I really like this disc a lot. A great straight fairway driver. My slightly more stable but still throwable disc is, or still workable I guess, is the Discraft Athena. But just a very dependable, especially in a headwind. I don't really want to throw that FD. I can throw this Athena. Very dependable fairway again, great disc. And then lastly, the most overstable, and I don't really throw that much, but when I need a cheater sidearm or just a big flex and some sort of wind, a utility disc I have is the Captain's Raptor. I have the Paul Ulibarri Z-Flex one right now. This is a super overstable disc if you're just starting out, or if you're less than 350 feet. You don't really need this, but it looks sick. And you know, if you still don't have a forehand and you need to go play a tournament and you can just chop this out there, very overstable disc. Those are the main discs that I think an amateur should have in their bag. So now I'm going to be getting into the distance drivers. I don't really need most of these in my bag. I'm trying to learn and throw a little further as we go, improve my form, but I do have them in my bag. I throw them further than all my other discs. For the flippy distance driver, I have a lightweight King from Westside. This is a great roller disc for me, or if I'm going uphill in a tailwind or something like that. Yank on it on hyzer and it'll flip and turn. Very understable distance driver, very fun to throw. I do have Axiom Vanish as well. So a pretty great disc for if you have a wide open shot or if you need a little hyzer flip with a distance driver. And then for a straight dependable driver that I have is a Factory Second Destroyer. For me is very straight and beat in. Now I have put these two discs, they're both Champion Blizzard Bosses. I put them back into my bag. They're just really fun if I have kind of a wide open shot and I'm trying to get just the most distance. I can kind of put these on anhyzer and they will get a full flight and still fade back. And then the heavier version of that, I have a Halo Boss here. Again, for some distance forehands where I can really crank on them and it'll come back. This Halo Boss. And then my last utility disc, again, I can't remember when I've thrown this last, but I always just keep it in the bag because it's so overstable that if there's a crazy wind or if I need to have a quick overstable turn, then I have this disc. And it is the Discraft Machete. 4 fade, kind of crazy. It is an absolute meat hook. All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. I hope you learned something or got some ideas for what kind of bag you might want to build if you're building a new bag or looking for a slot to fill. Really just an understable, straight, and overstable of each category I think is a great way to start. Really you could just start with a disc, one disc. If you have any opinions you disagree with, or you know, if there's anything that you think I missed for amateurs that they should bag, let me know in the comments. I love to read people's differing opinions, helps me learn new stuff. I like having conversations about disc golf. So go ahead and comment if you have an opinion on something or think I missed something. But I really appreciate you guys watching the video, and go ahead and check in the description for my Instagram, Saucy's website, and Saucy's Instagram because they post as well. They have great deals, so they post on there, and I post reels throughout the week. So if you like disc golf, hit me up, give me a follow.